Today we can discuss about human rights in Indian Constitution. Before going to the topic, we can see what is meant by human rights and when and where this concept of human rights evolved. To state the definition, human rights are the rights which are inherent to all human beings regardless of our nationality, residence, sex and gender identity. To speak about the history or the evolution of human rights, we can go back to the period of 539 BC when Cyrus the Great conquered Babylonia. Soon after conquering Babylonia, what Cyrus the Great did was that he freed all the slaves and he tried to establish racial equality. These deeds which were done by Cyrus the Great was codified in baked clay, which was in a cylindrical mortar, which was later came to be known as Cyrus cylinder. What is the importance of the Cyrus cylinder in the modern world is that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which we follow now for the human rights activities, the first 3 articles had its inspiration from the Cyrus cylinder. The next, the importance of the important movement in the development of human rights is the Magna Carta of French Revolution. In legal history, we know when we go to the legal history, we can see that many of the laws had its impact from the Magna Carta. And in the case of human rights also, the raw elements are taken from the Magna Carta of French Revolution. Now, coming back to our nation, that is in India, we can say that the human rights elements were present in the Vedas, Smritis, Shrutis, Upanishads, Arthashastra and almost everything which were prevalent at that time. When we go through the Maha Upanishad, we can see the term Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, which states that the whole world as one, which itself shows that the element of human rights was present in India before the ancient, that is from the ancient period itself. The first pillar of 20th century human right law was adopted by the General Assembly on 10th December 1948. The UDHR states out, that is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, state out basic civil, political rights, fundamental economical, social and cultural rights which human beings everywhere are entitled to enjoy. Our topic is about the human rights in Indian Constitution. We can see that the Constitution of India is considered as the law of the land. And it is a viable instrument of Indian people's salvation and to secure all people's basic human rights are implicit from the Preamble, which carries fundamental rights, directive principles of state policies and various other provisions of the Constitution. We can start with the Preamble of the Constitution. The Preamble of the Constitution is considered as the key to open the mind of the Constitution makers. The Preamble aims to protect and promote that is the main objective of the Preamble is to promote and protect the human rights elements. And how these objectives are attained by the Preamble finds its expression of the attaining this human rights through the fundamental rights, directive principles and other constitutional provisions. We can start with the fundamental rights. The fundamental rights which comes under part 3 of the Constitution, which runs from Article 12 to Article 35 of the Constitution, it guarantees the basic natural rights to the people. That is, in a way we can say that the fundamental rights are the natural rights, which was stated by the Supreme Court in the case of Golaknath versus State of Punjab. When we compare this fundamental right with that of the UDHR articles, we can see that the UDHR articles, that is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which contains all the elements consisting of the human rights, are incorporated in our fundamental rights. Article 14, which states about equality in the Indian Constitution, which is taken from Article 7 of UDHR. Article 19 Clause 1, which speaks about freedom of assembly, association, freedom of speech and expression, all these are taken from Article 19, Article 20 Clause 1, Article 23 Clause 4, Article 20 Clause 2 and Article 12 Clause 1 of UDHR. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 11, Clause 2, which speaks about protection in respect of conviction for offences, are incorporated in the Indian Constitution through Article 20, Clause 1. Indian Constitution Article 21, which guarantees protection to life and personal liberty, is taken from Article 3 of UDHR. Article 23 of Indian Constitution, which prohibits trafficking in human beings and forced labour, is taken from Article 4 of UDHR. Article 25, Clause 10 of Indian Constitution, which states about freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion, are taken from Article 18 of UDHR. Now, Article 29, Clause 1 of Indian Constitution speak about protection of interest of minorities, which is taken from Article 22, or which is similar to the Article 22 of UDHR. Article 26, Clause 3 of UDHR speaks about right of minorities to establish and administer educational institution, which is in Indian Constitution comes under Article 30, Clause 1. And finally, constitutional remedies, which comes under Article 32, Clause 1 of Indian Constitution, is that of Article 8 of UDHR. From all these, we can say that the fundamental rights which is incorporated in the Indian Constitution contains almost all the articles which are adopted by the UDHR relating to human rights. Now we can see what is meant by directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of state policy is contained in Part 4 of Indian Constitution, which starts from Article 36 to Article 51. The main objective of directive principles of state policy is to promote the general welfare of the people in consonance with the basic objects of human rights. And the directive principle is mainly classified into three, that is the socialist concept, Gandhian concept and liberal concept. The articles coming under, for example, we can take the Uniform Civil Code, the Maternity Benefit Act, Equal Pay for Equal Work, which are coming under the directive principles. From all these guarantees the human rights to the Indian citizens. The constitutional provisions which uphold human rights are, apart from the preamble and fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, are first one, Article 325 and 326, which upholds the principles of universal adult franchise, and Article 324 and 326, which ensures the fairness of electoral process. Article 330 and 342 give special provisions for the representation of SC, ST and Anglo-Indians. Article 244 and 244A in Schedule 5 and 6 ensures betterment of tribal people, and Part 17 upholds special safeguards for linguistic minorities. So, by going in depth through the fundamental rights and directive principles and preamble of the Constitution and other constitutional provisions, we can see that the Indian Constitution guarantees human rights to its citizen in all aspects. And we can see that the Indian Constitution has adopted almost all the elements which are present in the UDHR. The reason is that the Indian Constitution was in its budding state when the UDHR was adopted, that was in 10th December 1948. As a result, the framers of the Constitution tried to incorporate almost all the elements which is present in the UDHR into our Constitution. And we can very well say that the Indian Constitution guarantees to its citizens the human rights in all aspects.